Okay, well, hang on. It's live streaming and we are about to get started. We are about to get started. Okay. So today we are going to start our graduate series again. This is our last graduate series for the ESU 2020. So today, what I want you to do, we have 5 of our Eagle Scholar graduates on. So if you guys can introduce yourself, tell your name, your college, what year you are, or if you're graduated, what career you're doing right now, and what degree you had or have or will have or whatever. So, and then what I want you to do is once you introduce yourself, toss it to the next graduate. That way I don't have to keep intervening. So let's start with Teresa.
Hi guys, my name is Teresa Valderas Flores. I went to UT Arlington, graduated in 2017 with my bachelor's in social work, and I am currently teaching elementary. So I'll pass it on to Eleni.
Hi guys, my name is Eleni. I'm currently a senior at Texas A&M University, College Station, and my major is public health. And I'll pass it to Valeria.
Hi everyone, my name is Valeria Morales. I graduated from UTSA in 2019, last year. I did university studies, which is 3 focus areas in business, sociology, and health. And currently I'm a program director for an online company. And I'll pass it on to Than.
Hi guys. My name is Dasa U. I'm currently attending UT Arlington, and it's going to be my second year next semester, and I'm studying film and video. And I'm going to pass it on to Josephine.
Hi everyone, my name is Josephine. I am a rising sophomore at the College of the Holy Cross in Massachusetts, and I am thinking on majoring in mathematics, and I'm working at IRC right now.
Fantastic. Thank you guys. So scholars, you can start asking questions at any time. We have a great panel today because they all have very different experiences as far as degrees, as far as in-state, out-of-state, graduates, current college students. So go ahead and ask ask your questions in the chat, and I will get to them as we go. So I'm going to start and just go ahead and just start asking you guys questions. One of the questions that I know that our scholars ask a lot is, how did you choose your career path and what interests you about that career? So let's just Banza, I think yours is very interesting because it's not really a typical path that a lot of people choose. So can you tell us about your career path? How did you get into that and how did you choose it?
My major is film and video, right? You guys already know that. So when I was like in middle school, I was like, people always like forced me to do art and drawing and stuff, but I want to try something different. You know, I'm more interested in film and video. Like, I just like editing. Like, I get excited every time I'm like filming video with my friends. Like, I get inspired from my mentor and people that like film, like Andrew and Mr. Luke. They really inspire me to like study film and video. But yeah, I'm really into that.
Can you also speak to your the internship that you did with Luke, I believe, and how did you do that?
Luke invited me to the Corgan Media Lab in middle school. Yeah, and so they showed me how they work, like different people that work there, the different jobs and stuff, and yeah, it's really fun.
So, and if you guys also want to look at, if you go to the VMYDF website, you can also see, and I'll type it in the chat, at the VMYDF website, you can see Thanza'u starring in one of the videos that we have. So so that's really cool. I think what's cool is that Thanza'u not only, he didn't just start liking video, he started when he was younger and then just kept finding new opportunities to do stuff like that. So I think that's really a cool thing. Josephine, talk to me a little bit about going out of state. You're at an out of state college. So how did you choose that college, and what have been the benefits and challenges of that?
So when I was applying, I had two colleges left. I had Texas A&M, a College Station, and Holy Cross in Massachusetts. It came down to financial aid, honestly, but I would think I like Holy Cross for the fact that it's a small school. I get the attention. I know my class dean and he knows me really well. And so I think the challenging part for me was not going out of state, but mostly making not making friends, but finding a community. And the struggling part for me was that I was applying to become a citizen. And so I did not know anyone who was going to help me. But because our school is very small, it was easier to find the resources to help me, take me to my citizenship appointments, and then finding someone to walk me through the application. And so I would say it wasn't more of a challenge, but I think it was more of getting used to the community that was not mine.
Cool. And let's see, who else do I have? Valeria. So one of the things I know about you, Valeria, you played a lot of sports in high school. You were always busy, always busy. How did you manage to stay involved in Eagle Scholars and all of your extracurriculars?
You always ask me this question. Honestly, I think it's just, if you want to be a part of something, you're going to make the time for it. It was not easy. I mean, I had everything scheduled out to the very last minute. I knew from 8 a.m. to 4, I can't remember how long school was anymore in high school. But from 8 a.m. to 4:30, I knew I was in classes. From 4:30 to 6, I want to say I was in practice. And after that, whatever time I had left, I would dedicate that to Eagle Scholar. So, I mean, I would plan out my days, have my agendas for each day, what needed to get done on what day. So it's just a matter of getting a planner, putting in your deadlines, and just sticking to it. And being a part of everything that you really want to be a part of, as long as you have really good time management skills. And you don't have to be perfect when you first start off, as long as you're consistently working on it and only adding to your plate what you're able to commit to and follow through with, you'll be fine, just as long as, again, you're on top of it, scheduling it in your calendar. I used to write everything down on paper, and now I transferred over to using my phone because I get those pop-up notifications all the time. So honestly, that is the best way that you can still stay involved and still get your work done. It's just being very dedicated to your schedule that you create and making sure that you're not signing up for too much.
Awesome. Thank you. Teresa. So one of the things that I think everyone should know is she was in the very first Eagle Scholars class that we ever had. And she was the very first college graduate of Eagle Scholars. So she's kind of plowed the territory for you guys. She did it on her own. She didn't have anybody before her, at least not in Eagle Scholars, forging that path. So she has done that for you guys, but I want to, Teresa, can you speak to that and how you kind of ventured out on your own and just where you got your encouragement from and how you made sure that that happened for you?
So definitely being in Eagle Scholars was a huge step up, because I did have the encouragement from you, Janet. You had just barely came into the program and you were really pushing into getting to know everyone and making sure that I was set together along with my other peers. That helped a lot, having you there. But it was also more asking others for help in in school, even though, it wasn't somewhat very helpful, just because back then we didn't have, education is freedom, EIF was barely starting up at Conrad. So it was a lot of like, asking questions here and there. I did rely a lot on more on like going back and forth with the admissions office at UT Arlington, because I was set on going to UT Arlington. But yeah, it just really took looking for the information and searching for people to help me. But aside from that, I knew that I wanted to go to college, and I could see it in some of the other peers that were also in the same boat, to where like, okay, what do we do now? Where do we apply? So I asked a lot. I asked around a lot for sure. So yeah, now that you mention it, it's like, whoa, how did I do it? It's a little crazy.
One of the things too, that just to follow up with what you just said too, you advocated for yourself. You were your own self-advocate. I can remember that letter that you wrote to UTA, because I think UTA had classified you as an international student, maybe, or something like that. And you asked me or whatever, and I don't know. I just remember getting your email that you had forwarded to them, and I thought, oh my gosh, like you rocked it. Like you wrote them the letter, you advocated for yourself. And so that's a big, which we talk a lot now about, your voice matters. And yours did, because you really advocated for yourself. So I think that's a really important thing for all scholars to do.
Yes, definitely. Like you mentioned, since I was like one of the first Eagle scholars, and the whole program was still coming together, it did take a lot of work, just looking for the right people to talk to. Like you mentioned, with UTA, they did classify me as an international student. So I had to tell them that I was a resident in Texas and prove and, send information back and forth with them. So a lot of that did take like self-advocacy, something that I know that Miss Janet instills a lot in all of you, to speak up for yourselves, So, yep.
And Eleni, so I'm pretty sure that you have always wanted to be in the health field. So can you talk about like your persistence in that? I know we have a lot of scholars who also have decided at a young age, I'm going to be in the health field. That's all there is to it. And I'm going to persist through that. So can you talk a little bit about just your goals as a young person, and then as you got older, and how that's either changed or evolved or stayed the same, and just speak to that?
Yeah, like I've always wanted to be in the healthcare field. I didn't know at a young age like what exactly I wanted to be. I was like, oh, I could be a nurse, I could be a PA or a doctor or something. And like the more I got into it, I guess like high school and stuff, we had like those academies and stuff. And like the more we researched like positions and fields and healthcare and stuff, I just wanted to be a doctor. I don't know why, but it just like drew me in. I was like, oh, like what they do is kind of interesting, because it's kind of like, yeah, you're like taking care of the patient, but you're also like investigating, which I really like. It's like criminal justice into like anatomy together. So I was like, oh, I like that a lot, but I didn't know how to get there exactly. So like I did ask for help for like people who knew what was going on and stuff, and like choosing a major. Like if you want to go into healthcare, it doesn't matter what major you choose. Apparently I didn't know that, but now y'all know. So I was like, what major should I go into? I was like looking into like biology, chemistry, and all those like biochemistries, all those like sciences and stuff. But those were very like those were very, how do you say, like very sciencey. I don't know what the correct term is, but they were very like into other stuff, not like human body anatomy, but just like into science in general, like atoms, cells, and like yeah, like atoms and cells and molecules, but not relating to the body, but like relating to the universe, and like more of a like physics route. So like one of my friends' cousins or whatever, she was doing pre-med too, and her major was public health, and she's like, you would love it because this like public health is more of a how do you like interact with like patients of different socioeconomic status people, like different social determinants and everything. So like you basically like talk to a patient and try to like convey your message of like being healthy and stuff, but instead of like using science, you use their background. So like you talk to like what they know, like you know how like some like I don't know. Okay, never mind. But like basically you just like talk to the person and you like figure out like why this problem occurred. So I really like that. And then right now I'm like a senior, but I'm not going into like medical school right away. I'm thinking of like taking a gap year because it was like a lot for me. Well, like right now it's more chill, but like before it was like a lot of class load. I had a lot of my class load was large. So I was like, I don't have time to be studying like 6 hours a day for my regular classes and then like for MCAT. So I was like, I'll just take a gap year. So like for a gap year, you just like you do your degree, you get your a bachelor's or whatever. And then after that, like at summer, you can study for like your senior year of summer, you can study for the MCAT like all summer long, take the exam and apply on September or June. I think September is like the last day. And I don't know where I went with this, but yeah.
So Eleni is about to graduate. So yes, she's already thinking in terms of med school and stuff because you can't wait. You don't just sit back and wait. You have to always be thinking ahead and preparing for that. So Claudia has a question. Was it hard coming up for a topic for your college application essay? And I'm going to ask you not just was it hard, but talk to us about your process when you were applying for colleges. Which one of you guys would like to answer that? Anybody? All right, I'm going with Valeria.
This is such a long time ago. I want to say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they give you the topics for your three essays. I like I said, it's been a while, but I want to say they give you topics for the three main essays that you have to submit. Now the exact story that I wanted to tell behind each topic, I worked with Hazel, which was our college advisor at Conrad, and she would proofread our messages and see if it was a good essay to submit. And most of the time she was like, you know what, you're not telling your story right. It doesn't sound, you're making it sound, she would tell me, you're making it sound like you're just any other ordinary student. She's like, you have a unique story to share. You have to let them know that your everyday life is not somebody else's everyday life, a typical American, I would say. She would tell me your parents fear in getting into a car to go to work because of, them potentially getting stopped for running a red light or missing a stop sign. And that could go into the risk of them getting deported because they aren't legal in the country. So things like that, she would really want me to include in my essay so that they could see that people who aren't as fortunate as everybody else still strive for their goals in their education. So that was my main person who would help me come up with my stories, my topics for each essay. Again, I can't remember exactly which story I brought up for each topic, but definitely something that would touch the admin's heart and see that we're people and we want to strive for success.
That was very good. You did that well. But so now I should have called on somebody else because this next question I think is best for you too, Valeria. What would the best advice be for a student who's interested in every field?
Yes, that is me. Whoever asked that question, Asmina, that is me. That was me. And I mean, you can ask Miss Janet, you can ask Miss Martha, you can ask all of my family members. I feel like every single day I was coming back home saying, hey, I'm changing my major again. I'm gonna do something else. So I want to say I was exploring. I mean, I had my set major like in the computer system with UTSA set for business administration or something like that. And I left it alone. I wasn't hopping back and forth and changing any paperwork because that was just going to be too much, especially since I knew I was interested in so many different things. So what I did, I looked at the department heads of each major that I was interested in of each school with UTSA. And I set up a meeting with them and just kind of asked them questions like, hey, what kind of students usually apply for this major? What kind of jobs do they usually get? Tell me more about the courses that are in this degree plan. Like, just tell me more information. And ultimately what I was seeking is what is going to pique my interest the most and what will make me check off every single box. And so I didn't find one thing, and that is why I chose the major that I decided to go with. And at UTSA, it's called multidisciplinary studies. At most universities, I want to say it's recognized as university studies. And so within this degree plan, you're able to pick different focus areas that you can choose from. Again, I decided to go with business, sociology, and health. You have, I think, like 7 or 8 that you're able to choose from, and they're pretty much like mini minors, I guess you can call them. And with all 3 of those, you get a degree, and it's called multidisciplinary studies. So it's definitely a good one if you're not too sure what you want to do. But know that when you go out into the work field, you do have to get some type of work experience and be able to use that to make up for you not having a direct a degree in.
Okay, awesome. Now I see Josephine's hand up. Did you want to answer that question or did you want to answer the next one? Because I see that the next one is definitely for you.
I can answer the next one if that's okay.
Yes. So is it hard going to a university that is out of state or out? Whoops. Is it hard to go to a university that is out of state or out of the country?
I think it depends on what you want. For me, I was more nervous about my parents letting me go, but then it came to a point where they asked me, it's about your education, if you feel comfortable about going out of state. And I also think it depends on the resources that you have. You wouldn't want to go somewhere that you don't know anyone and you don't know who's going to help you. And so I remember when I first went to college, I met my best friend, and her mother is a professor at the college. And so that was a win for me because now I have someone who's going to help me. And I think it comes to you deciding that, can I do this or can I not? And so I think that's something to keep in mind because, I mean, personally, I thought my parents would not let me, but they asked me, do you feel comfortable going? And if the answer is yes, then, I mean, it's always a great experience. So I think it wasn't really hard, but it was challenging academic wise. Sorry, I mumbled a lot.
No, you're good. Sorry, I'm trying to manage a couple of things. Make sure you guys are keeping yourself on mute, please, unless you have a question. Let's see. What would you guys say, and any of you guys can answer this, what were your fears or hesitations about going to college?
I can answer that. For me, it was more of
okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So I remember in my college readiness class last year, we talked about microaggression and how people of color, like they say, oh, they're not good enough of going to college. And looking at my background as a refugee, I thought I wasn't good enough. But then once I stepped out of my comfort zone, I think it helped me understand that, you know, it's only me who can change my life. It's my thinking process that can get me through my education. And so it starts with me thinking that I can do it and then finding people who are going to support me to get through it. And so I think don't let other people tell you you cannot do something unless you've tried that thing and you failed at it.
Good job. That's important. Anybody else want to answer that?
I'll just pitch in with Josephine. Definitely feeling like you're not going to fit in. That was one of my biggest fears. Just because I didn't know any other classmates that were going to UTA with me. So it's just like the fear of making friends and getting along with your roommates or with your other peers that are in school with you. But I would say that you do have to get yourself out there. So that was one of the things that I had to overcome. Just joining organizations and being like the new kid. But it kind of helps because everyone else in the organization started the same way that you did. So yeah.
Awesome. So I have another one. Let's see here. Are colleges hard to get into, like say SMU? I guess let's go with who, Eleni. What about, I know you guys can't speak to SMU because unless, I don't think any of you guys applied there, but Eleni, can you speak to that a little bit?
I guess. Okay, colleges. I mean, every college is hard to get to, but you just have to use your advantages. Like, if if your GPA is really not that great, then your SAT or ACT score has to be a little bit above average, or you have to put in your essay, like why your GPA is so low, like your life experiences, like, oh, I went to school, I went to work, and I took care of my siblings. Da, 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 da. So sometimes like my schoolwork often like lacked, and but I'm but colleges are not that hard to get into. It really depends on which one you're looking at, I guess. Like in like normal public universities, if you have a decent if you have decent grades, decent GPA, decent like extracurriculars, you write a good essay, average SAT, ACT score, I'm pretty sure you'll get in. SMU, I know it's a little bit of like a higher caliber, so I guess you have to have like a little above average GPA or above average ACT score for like private universities, because they look more into like they care more about numbers. But I'm pretty sure if you write in your essay like why your numbers are so low, or like why your GPA is low, or your SAT score is low because of your like life experiences, they'll like put that into account and stuff. And then recommendations often help too for like private universities. People who went there, if they write it for you, like I know if you want to go to like Baylor, you can always ask Tiffany. And SMU, Billy, right? But yeah.
As a master, yeah, he did go to SMU for his master's. All right, let's see. Let's see. So Josephine, out of school is very expensive. How did you manage to pay off? Well, or how did you manage? You're still managing, so paying off the college expenses. And this is that's a good question because Josephine and I have talked about this a lot.
To be honest, at some point I almost cried that I made the wrong decision, but Ms. Janet told me you never should have done anything. Once you've done it, it's too late now. I think so the college that I'm going to, it's $71,000 a year. So they gave me a good scholarship, and so and my other scholarships are paying for it. So my financial aid was okay, but it wasn't covering everything. But so I applied to a lot of scholarships, and then my high school, they sometimes have like these other opportunities. And so I kept on asking, what can I do to get more money? What can I do? And they ended up covering almost 97% of it. And then I reached out to Ms. Janet every single time. She might be tired of me just crying at her, what can I do? And I think Ms. Janet also posts a ton of scholarships that are very useful. And so I've been taking advantage of that as well. And I had taken 2 loans and I pay them off. So I am loan free right now.
Josephine worked really hard at her scholarships. And so even though she is out of state, and there were some extra costs and stuff, she did a lot of networking. So she has had some scholarships that only happened because of her relationships with people. She works, not works, but her church, she stayed connected with people at her church they have helped support, and then she's been able to write the scholarships who have helped support. I mean, she gets a lot of that support. So that's networking is always important. Doing the work is always important because yes, going out of state can cost more. She's got a smaller college, but so it gives her more, I guess, one-on-one help with things, which is great. But yes, I mean, she's had to work at it. So if you want to do that, do the work. That's the important thing, is make sure and do the work. Okay, let's see. The next question is, how do you think the new freshmen and sophomores can prep for college and university since COVID has changed a lot of things? Let's see. Let's do Eleni on that. What do you think?
Like, prep in what way? Like school-wise or like?
Asmina, can you speak to that? How are you meaning, like prepping in high school, or what do you mean? High school. So is there any way to prep differently in high school for colleges?
I guess like the classes you take, like if you know right now what major you're interested in or like what field you're interested in, I guess like just prep and like taking your classes more seriously, like actually absorbing the information. Like for me, I wish I absorbed more of my like science classes in high school so that it would have been easier in college, because like we have in college there's like a lot of information to take in a short amount of time, so it's always good to like have background knowledge so you don't have to like spend a lot of time on a specific subject. So I would say actually like pay attention and not learn to memorize but learn to like know, and also take dual credit classes if you can, so that your like class load will be easier, because like I know if you want to graduate in 4 years you have to take 15 credits each semester. So like, but I know sometimes that's a lot if it's like science, engineering, or anything like in the STEM field. It's really hard to take 15 hours because there's like a lot of information you have to like know and learn, and like you can get overwhelmed. So like it's always good to like in high school, if you take dual credit classes, then instead of 15 you could take 12, and that would save you like a lot of time, and you would be less stressed out and stuff like that.
So I think Asmina, basically the answer to that, what Eleni's saying, is it really doesn't change. I mean, COVID doesn't change the way you prepare for college. There might be some changes once you're in college, like all of these guys that are on this panel. I'm sure they're going to be taking online classes and stuff like that, but preparing for college doesn't change. You still need to start as early as you can. And Ruha mentioned it too in the chat. Top 10% automatic admission helps if you qualify for it. So there are some colleges that you have to be in the top 10%. Actually, A&M, you have to be in the top 10%. UT Austin, you have to be in the top 6% now, I believe. So you have to be at the top of your class. You don't start that your senior year. You start that actually probably best your 7th grade year, but for sure your freshman year in high school, you've got to be taking all of your colleges and all of your credits and stuff like that, and taking tough classes, taking the AP classes. So don't wait. So I think that's kind of what Elaine's saying too. Just don't wait.
And if you want to like know about like your specific school, I know like if anybody's on Twitter or anything, they always start like a class of 2020, whatever class you are of your school, and then like there's like advice for the incoming freshmen. So like just like search that up on Twitter, and it's really helpful sometimes too.
I wanted to pitch in on this question. Yeah, I want to say I think the biggest difference that you guys are going to experience is the fact that you'll probably have a lot more of your courses be online, maybe a lot more hybrid. So usually, and I'm not speaking for all schools, I'm speaking from UTSA, and my sister Annette goes to A&M College Station, so I know a little bit about her campus, how they're getting set up. And again, this is kind of like the market that I work in, so I do know a little bit of all the schools and what they're doing. They may be doing some hybrid courses. So instead of the most you will, I haven't heard of a class offering Monday through Friday classes, lecture classes on campus ever before, but the norm would be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. Now, what I'm seeing happen a lot more is you're going to be having Tuesday, Thursday classes being offered, or maybe just a Wednesday night or Wednesday afternoon class being offered. So I would say my best advice for that, I'm the type of person that if I don't have a designated place where this is my office and this is where I work, or this is the classroom and this is where I focus on, then I'm not going to be focused on what I need to be focused on. So if I'm sitting at home in front of the TV in my living room or in my room, I'm going to just be relaxing, because that's my area where I relax and what my brain has been programmed to recognize as. So for you guys, what I would recommend is, if you're going to be moving if you're going to be moving onto campus, have a designated place either on campus where you're, of course, away from crowds, anything like that, but just have a designated place where you're able to say, this is going to be my spot where I focus on my schoolwork. So when I go home, I don't have to stress about this trying to be my rest area and my schoolwork area. So definitely try and find your place where you know that this is the area where I focus on, and you can just knock out all the assignments that you have to take care of.
So a lot of you guys I know have kind of stuck with a major. That's not always what the average person does. A lot of people change a lot of majors all the time. But so one question is there anything you would change about your major? So does anybody have any thoughts on that? I know that, yeah, go ahead.
So I know that at a very young age in my sophomore year, I knew that I wanted to do social work, just because I know that I wanted to help others. I was very involved with the community, and just having Miss Martha Stowe as a mentor helped me, guide me towards what I wanted to do for my major. But once I was already in school, I do wish I could have picked a minor, like another minor focus, just, to give me like an advantage out in the real world now. Because even though I did major with social work, I'm teaching now. So maybe having a minor would have helped a little bit more in other aspects of the career field. Yeah.
And the other cool thing is, like Teresa's saying, so she graduated with a bachelor's degree in social work, but she still went back and she got a certificate, a teaching certificate, and then started teaching at Jack Lowe. So just because you get a degree does not mean that's the end. You can always reinvent yourself. And that's the great thing about a college degree, is the main thing is getting a college degree, and you can reinvent yourself. So yeah, you can choose, it evolves through college. And then when you get out, you can still take new paths. So it never stops. So how did you guys find friends, especially if anybody was an introvert? I am not calling on you, Valeria, for this one, because I know you do not have an introverted bone in your body. But how did you find friends? Like, how did you make friends, especially if you were an introvert? Anyone? Thonza, let me ask you that and see if you have an answer on that. And I know you're off campus, so that may have been a little bit different. Maybe Eleni, Josephine, you guys could answer this, or Teresa. Yeah, who wants to take that?
So,
I'll take it. Oh,
you can go.
go ahead.
So when I was taking my class, you go to meet people, you know, in your class, and some of them match your energy and your vibe. So like, just you guys just connect and you guys like hang out. That's how I make friends. I just like, hey, what's up? You know, you want to hang out? You want to hang out after? And just like, yeah, and then we kind of make our own group. And then like, I also like offered like to like hang out together as a group to like barbecue and like talk to each other about stuff. That's how I make friends. But you can also have like different group of friends if you want, like friends that you go work out with, friends that you do homework with, hang out. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Go ahead, Eleni.
Well, A&M is a big school, so like a lot of the times like where I started like how to make friends is like joining a lot of organizations. Even if you're an introvert in an organization, they make you like come out of your shell a little bit with the icebreakers and getting to know people mixers, because like when you join an organization there's always like in the beginning like they're like, oh yeah, let's get to know everybody, da, 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 da. So like Tansa said, like you'll find somebody that's like kind of matches your energy and you're just like, oh, I like them, like let me try to talk to them. And it's just like one sentence like, hey, like what's your major? I guess that's like the question you ask trying to be friends, like, hey, what's your major, like what's up, like what you doing, like what classes are you taking? Oh, me too, you want to study together? And then you end up studying together and then you become friends, and then you have other classes with people like especially in your major, like if you're taking like a lot of classes in your major, you see the same people over and over again. So you're just like, hey, like I've seen you in this class, like let's like hang, let's like, I don't know, like work together on this like assignment or anything. And like you just end up being friends. But like the organizations help a lot because it's more smaller. It's just like, you know, not that many, like 30 to like 40 people in each organization. And especially if it's an organization that you're like very interested, there's an organization for everything, like an organization for like, oh, if you want to be like a doctor or nurse, or if you want to volunteer, or if you like painting, or if you like playing video games, there's like all kinds of organizations. So like you can find your people without like going to every person like, hi.
Perfect. So I see 2 more questions in the chat. So I'm going to ask those last 2 questions real quickly, and then I'm going to do our final question so we can wrap up by 3:30. So let's see, Josephine, how many colleges do you recommend to apply to just in case most of them don't respond or reject you?
Okay. So I applied to 11 schools, and I saw like someone asked about how I paid for the financial aid. Please ask your counselors. You don't have to pay for I think for fee waivers, they can pay for you. And so I remember being worried about that. How can I apply to 11 schools and having to pay $75 for each school? So I think ask your counselor. You can beg them if that's possible. They're going to pay for it.
So that actually kind of answers Asmina's question as well. So yes, there are ways to get fee waivers. Sometimes you just have to ask. So asking is important. Being willing to ask is important. I will even say, like, Fanzau and I just met this morning, and that's one of the things that we were talking about. He's in college already, but there are still things that can happen to where the school doesn't give you as much money as you could get, as you should be getting. So you have to be willing to ask and say, wait, where did my scholarship go? And wait, why am I not getting this? Or my family situation has changed. Can I get this money, you know? And so there's different asking, self-advocating, just like what Teresa was talking about earlier. All right, final question. So everybody gets to answer this. And if you could, what advice would you give to scholars? Let's see. Yes, my husband's phone is ringing. What wish or hope do you, sorry, I can't concentrate with okay, let me try this again. What do you wish or hope current Eagle Scholars knew, and what would you like to tell them? What kind of advice would you like to give them? So let's start with Eleni, and then you can pass it to the next person.
Wait, can you repeat the question?
So what do you wish or hope current Eagle Scholars knew, and what would you like to tell them? Like, what advice would you like to give them?
Can I pass and come back?
Yes, let's go on to Josephine.
For me, I think you need to be open-minded, and I think if you're an introvert, please try to step out of your comfort zone. If I am going to an out-of-state university right now, it's because I had to find people. You can feel uncomfortable sometimes, but I promise you it's worth it at the end. It's really worth it. Step out of your comfort zone.
Pass to the next person, Josephine.
Denzel.
I think for me, like, I don't know. Can I ask the question again? Like, is it like something that you want the scholar want to learn in college or in high school?
What do they need to know
during college?
What do they need to know now? What advice would you give to the current scholars?
Apply for a lot of scholarships. Even though you think that you're not gonna get it, apply for it. All they can say is no, you know. Just apply for a lot of scholarship. Yeah. That's the most important thing for me, I think.
Super important.
Yeah,
Pass to the next person.
Teresa.
Okay, so my little piece of advice would definitely be to keep a goal in mind and try not to fall like with the peer pressure of your friends. I know that in high school you tend to follow your decisions based on what other people are doing or what's going on. I would say focus a little bit more in yourself, just because at the end, once you graduate high school, everything changes and not everyone's still your friend. So just be selective of what you want to pick and choose from your friends, and don't fall into the peer pressure. Think about yourself and where you want to be at the end. That's about it. Yeah.
And let's see, who are we missing? Oh, Valeria.
My piece of advice would be, if you guys do not have to work when you are in college, definitely don't do it, because I think greed takes over. At least for me, it did. And I missed out on a lot of campus events because I was focused on having a part-time job while going to school at the same time. Had I just been a little bit better with my money, had I been saving and not shopping, eating out every single day, I could have gone through school without having to work and be okay and still graduate debt free. So definitely I would say, don't take work too serious, because your first job is to graduate college. Enjoy the experience that comes with it. It's not just about being in class 24/7, studying 24/7. Don't get me wrong, that's the major part of it, but there's also so many other things that come with the college experience, and that's going to, random events that your campus will put on, attending any type of presentations that they have going on. Like, there's so many things that your campus will give to students just because you're a student and they want you to have fun while you're on campus. So definitely take advantage of those opportunities. Go to all the events that your school has to offer because you're paying for it already. So that would be my piece of advice, is get involved, stay involved, and just be active on campus.
So let me follow up with that. You said during college, what would you recommend during high school? Would you recommend that they work during high school?
If you don't have to, definitely don't do that, because what you should be focusing on is getting your college paid for. So I actually had a part-time job in high school as well. And again, I had Hazel, my college advisor at Conrad, whisper in my ear all the time when I would freak out about, oh, it's 5:30. Like, I know I stayed a little late after school today. You know what? I can't finish this scholarship today. I'll just work on it tomorrow because I have to go to work. And she would sit me down and say, girl, this job is paying you $7.25 for an hour. You are applying for a $5,000 scholarship right now. So you're telling me you want to give this hour up to make $7.25 instead of getting this $5,000 scholarship. And so once she said that, I'm like, that opened my eyes. So for you guys that are in high school, definitely take Eagle Scholar seriously. Take the time that you are given to work on scholarships, the help that you guys have at the reach of your fingertips. Take advantage of that. Ask the questions. Get those applications submitted for all the scholarships, for all the schools, because time flies and you don't want to miss an opportunity.
Yes, and please do the math on that. Valeria is correct. $7.25 an hour, or even $8 an hour. It's going to take you a long time to work enough hours to earn that $5,000 that you could have gotten by sitting down and doing a scholarship for 1 hour. 1 hour, $5,000. Trust me, I've been in the workforce for 25 years, and I do not have the opportunity to earn $5,000 an hour. It hasn't come, and I can guarantee you for the rest of my life, it will not. So take advantage of that now. Then let's see, Eleni, now, are you ready?
Yes. My advice would be, I know how like right now, most of our classes are going to be online and stuff, so people might like slack off or like not take it as serious as they should, which is not like a thing I would recommend, because later on your classes are just gonna build on that, like on top of that. Like imagine if you're like taking general chemistry and then you just like slack off and you're just like doing the bare minimum and not even like trying to learn, but it's like so easy right now because it's online. And then next thing you know, next semester all the classes are back on campus and it's like double the work and double the time, and so like you're over here stressed. But I would just like recommend you to like take these online classes serious. Like imagine you're actually in a classroom, like these professors are not going to play with you. So, yeah.
I'm glad that you ended on that, Eleni. That is super, super important. And some of you guys have heard me say this before. I am not as concerned about you making straight A's as I am about your knowledge. And what she's talking about, if you are not, you can, and I've told you this before, you can cheat your way through high school. It's not what I want you to do, but you can do that and you can make all A's, but you're still going to go on to the next level and they're still going to expect of you. And if you cannot perform because you haven't done the work, it doesn't matter if COVID came, it doesn't matter if, whatever happened in your family or anything like that. If you have not, or your friends, if your friends are sidetracking you, it doesn't matter, because you've still got to go on to the next level, and your college, your employers, they're all going to expect you to do the work. And so, yes, please take them seriously. Thank you for saying that, Eleni. Final question, just one more as we get off. Lynn wants to know, is it that, let's see, after high school, is it okay to go straight to the university? So Lynn, can you unmute and tell us exactly what you mean? Because all of these guys have gone straight from high school to college. Are you asking if you can take time off to go before going to college?
Nope. I was trying to ask is it okay after high school going straight to university instead of like going to college?
Going to what university?
I mean like going straight to university, like instead of going to like college?
You
Like
mean
skipping college?
community college?
Is it okay?
Community college?
So college and university are the same. There's different types of like so the difference in a college, are you meaning community college, like a 2-year community college?
Yes.
And so are you asking, do you have to go to community college first?
No, instead of, I'm planning not to go to community college. I'm planning going straight to university. Yeah, that's my question. That's why I'm asking, is it okay if I do that?
She's asking if she can go to university straight after graduating from high school.
Yeah, who wants to answer that? I think all 5 of these guys did that. So, Eleni, do you want to answer that?
Okay. Yeah, it's okay to go to university straight out of high school. Like if you think you're very prepared and stuff like that. Most of the time, people choose to go to a 2-year college just to like knock off their basics and save some money. I think that's like what the majority of the people do, like, is like why they don't go to 4-year universities. Like maybe they don't have enough money, or maybe they're like working, or they have like some issues at home, so they're like, let me stay close to home, knock off my basics for really cheap, and then transfer. But if you think you're ready, you don't have any of those issues, I would recommend going to the 4-year college, because like it's an experience, honestly.
And I think one thing I would say to that too, I know that we do have some scholars that are going to community college first, and yeah, if that's what you need to do, that's fine. But the other thing you got to remember is if you go to community college, you've still got to transfer on to the university. So 1 year in community college, and you've already got to do everything you did your senior year. You've got to start applying for scholarships. You've got to start looking for the right university to go to. So all of that has to happen all over again. So if you can just go straight into a 4-year, the other thing is sometimes 4 years, if you go straight into a university, your scholarships, you have a bigger scholarship package that'll continue. Sometimes if you go to community college, it's cheaper, but then by the time you transfer over to the 4-year college, they don't offer you the same kind of scholarships they would if you would have went straight to that 4-year college. So, and yes, and Valeria is correct. Eleni is correct. You have to make sure those credits transfer. A lot of times what people do is they go to community college and just take a lot of classes. And it's not about taking a lot of classes. It's about making sure that you're on the pathway to your degree. So if you are majoring in something, if you want to major in the health pathway, and you think, oh, this technology class is really cool. That happens in at collegiate too, because they've got you on a technology pathway, and then you graduate from high school with your 2-year degree, but it's in technology, and then you want to go into health. Well, that's totally different. So you will get the most amount of scholarships for that 4-year if you go straight from high school into that 4-year. So, and Eagle Scholars is here to help you with that. So that's the great thing. You guys have an advantage, like what Eleni was talking about. A lot of their friends probably didn't, the ones that went to community college, didn't have the same opportunities in Eagle Scholars to get those scholarships and get that stuff paid for. So they had to choose community college so that they can go to college, and that's great. Start wherever you need to start, but you guys are all Eagle Scholars, and you have a different advantage and opportunity. So I want you guys to take advantage of that. All right, we're a little bit over, but I just want to say thank you to our guests, to our Eagle Scholar graduates for being here, for answering questions, and for forging that path. Everybody, yes, definitely thank Teresa for forging that path for all of us, because she led the way in that. And she's still paving the way because she's worked at Jack Lowe as a teacher. She's worked with Eagle Scholars as an AD. And so she is still forging that path. She has, I don't know if you can see her beautiful little girl. Where is she here? Is she there, Teresa? I don't know. Maybe Teresa might have left. But yes, so she's got a beautiful family now. So anyway, thank you guys for coming today. And this is the end of our Eagle Scholar Graduate Series. when you fill out your things next, your surveys next week, let me know if this is something you want to continue so we can keep hearing from our Eagle Scholar graduates because they have great words of wisdom. All righty. Thank you, everyone.